Okay, with Cindy Goldberg, Beekeepers, the next chapter is the winning short film. It's a film from Canada. You're from Ottawa originally, correct?
I am. I'm still based in Ottawa.
Yeah. How is Ottawa doing in the filmmaking scene? I know they have a good animation festival.
They do. They have a few local film festivals that I've entered, and I hope to be showcasing the film there. It seems to be thriving. I know there's a few Facebook groups as well, and some local art scene here that's pretty supportive of the community. And we're a growing city. The city's over 1 million already, so I think it'll only expand.
Yeah. Because as Canadians, you just think of the government, right? The government is placed there, right? So
Exactly, a small government town. When I first moved here a long time ago, it was, a very small little sleepy town, but it's really thriving now.
okay, so this is the Beekeepers next chapter is about it's an inspiring documentary about female drummers. Many of them were breast cancer survivors. It says it's the next chapter. Was there a first chapter of this film?
Yes, in fact, it's actually technically the third chapter. In 2016, I
Okay.
made a mini documentary called Keeping the Beat, 15 minutes long, on local female drummers in Eastern Ontario. A lot of people enjoyed it and said, Cindy, you should make a feature film. So the next film came out in 2019, and that featured women from Canada and the United States. So I traveled to several cities in Canada and the US, filming women and also a lot of well known male drummers as well to get their perspectives. And that came out in September 2019 and it premiered in Nashville. Women in Film and Music actually hosted the premiere. And from there, what happened is that I launched an actual site to showcase and to connect female drummers called Beatkeepers Women with Rhythm. And I began to host clinics, online clinics, and some in person clinics. And I also created mini videos of many women around the world showcasing their talent.
So do you play the drums as well?
I do, and that's what inspired all this. I
Yeah.
began drumming about 10 years ago and soon discovered there were relatively very few female drummers out there, so I wanted to find out why and what their
So
experiences were.
playing the drums, so you said you just started ten years ago, so you
I
started in your
did.
adult age.
Yes, I've been a long time musician, but I only took up drumming about 10 years ago. Yes.
And
I quickly
what was the
I
motivation to take it up?
Well, some friends were playing, and they said you should try. It's really fun. And I thought, oh, sort of on a whim, I picked up the sticks, and within a few days, I was like, wow, this is great. I fell in love with it, and I started taking lessons right away. Within a year, I'd joined a rock band, started playing around town, and it just, it spun from there. And I'm in quite a few bands now. I play in duos and full-fledged bands and ensembles playing
So
all
like
kinds
you
of music.
practice the drums like every day? I'm assuming you have your own set and etc.
Yes, I have a drum kit. I have an e-kit now. I'm in a condo, but I practice as well when I go on site to the different bands and rent studio space. I gig usually once or twice a week in the summertime, especially outdoors. Being in Ottawa, we have so many markets and outdoor events. It gives you a lot of opportunity to play.
So you're in a condo, so I'm assuming it's difficult to practice at home.
I have an e-kit now. When we
Okay.
first moved in, my husband is a professional drummer, a long time, very accomplished drummer. So when we first moved in, we were trying to play on pads and whatnot, and the neighbors, eventually knocked on the door. So I switched to the e-kit.
Okay, so you made the feature film, and then that's almost like for many people, that's like okay, that's pardon the pun, the chapter ends with this film. So what's your motivation for coming back to do another film about beekeepers?
There was so many comments, such a positive reception to the first film in 2019, and people asking gradually over time, over that 5 year gap, when will the next film occur? And then COVID occurred, and we were in lockdown, so the timing wasn't right. But then I reached out to one of the women who was featured in the first film, April Samuels, and she is a breast cancer survivor and the founder of Breast Cancer Can Stick It, which is a huge international American based organization that supports breast cancer research and awareness. And she's a great drummer, professional drummer, long time. And she said, Cindy, can you come down here to where we're at in Dallas and maybe bring some of the beekeepers? I have an annual event called Drumathon to raise funds for breast cancer, but I don't often get a lot of women, ironically, and I'd love if more women actually participated. So, I thought about it and the light bulb went on and I said, why don't I actually use that to take the opportunity to film another a film and actually film all these women getting together and connecting. So we quickly planned that over about 2 months. Her and her team in Dallas put together the venue, the event, the space, all the drum kits. And I organized at my end, getting all the beat keepers together, and 15 women quickly signed up to attend and to participate. And we all convened together in Dallas for 3 days.
So they do that every year in Dallas, the drumathon?
They do in Dallas every year. I think they may go to Nashville occasionally, but it's primarily based out of Dallas.
Because that's how you began your film with like the drumathon. Good name.
Yes.
And showing like all the women kind of like rocking, I guess, right? Is that a appropriate term, rocking?
Rocking out,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I don't know if you saw where April said, first time ever that maybe 16, almost 20 of us got on stage and played together at one point. And she said that's probably the only time she's ever seen that many women rocking out together on drums on stage. So,
Okay, so then you put yourself in the film as well, kind of interviewed, kind of give the audience context to this kind of message and these people as well. Was that something that you wanted to do? Like, do you like putting yourself in the documentary?
I was in the first two, so I felt I had to continue the
Okay.
story. I wanted to, and also I had an editor who was putting together the storyline. Said, "Cindy, we want to hear from you. We want to have you in there again a little more prominently than perhaps the first time." So, but it was an honor to be in there and to be able to actually interview all these women. So I'm on the other side of the camera conducting those one-on-one interviews. And what I didn't quite anticipate was just how quickly we would all gel and connect. Most of us never having met before,
Mhm.
all different backgrounds, all different playing levels, and all different reasons for being there. But it was magic. We just all were wonderfully supportive of one another, and we thoroughly enjoyed the experience and being with each other. We lifted each other up even if we were complete beginners and didn't know how to do one thing, the other people would jump in right away to support and help and guide you and to learn from each other. So, I felt very fortunate to be a part of that.
Because I guess the from the general audience, a drummer is kind of has a male kind of energy, I guess, right? There's like a there's and so you when basically it's just from like a stereotype or like from a just from a average person. So seeing that woman can do this as well, that's like I know there's more to your film, but it's like it's a great kind of message that showing this, like you know what I mean? Like there's certain
Yes.
positions that are have females, and then it's great to see.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it is largely male dominated. April mentioned that almost 90% of drummers are male from
Yeah,
what she's seen. So, uh, I think there's a little bit of a different approach when a lot of male drummers get together. And I can't say that unilaterally because, I don't want to brush it with
sure.
broad strokes there, but there may be a little more competition, a little more, wanting to showcase and show off a bit.
Mhm.
Whereas I think the women getting together wanted to nurture one another and encourage one another, no matter where we're at. And for many of them, they'd started playing really late in life, in their 60s or later.
Yeah.
So for them, there's a bit of intimidation because there's so many great players out there. You have less time to ramp up your skills. So should I continue? But you know what's happened, Matthew? So many women have watched the film that aren't in the film and have messaged me and said, I've actually been in tears watching it
Yeah.
because I started at 65 or 55 and I thought, oh, I really shouldn't continue, but your
Yeah.
film inspired me. I'm going to do it. I'm going
That's
to keep
amazing.
going.
Because there's like a this is my deeper message in your film, because there's something that happens in the formative years, like in school when you go to like music class, that there's that stereotype or that like oh the men are going to do that instrument, the females are going to do that instrument, and then that's how it starts, right? And then say you have like look at Karen Carpenter way back in the 70s, who was a drummer, right? She
Yes.
started as a drummer, and they said no, you're not a drummer anymore. You're going to be a singer, and you can't sing and drum at the same time, and because that's not what woman quote unquote women do, right? And and there's something to that where like there's still the music teachers who set up the future for a lot of kids.
Well, I'm a clarinetist. So I
Yeah.
in grade 9, I entered high school and I didn't even think I should be on the drums. I thought, oh no, that's for the guys.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
and
That's
I love
exactly.
the clarinet, but yes, you're right. It's kind of socialized in your mind. But you know who actually took up the drums was my mom. In the 80s, in her 50s, she took up drumming. So she was my first inspiration. And she became, quite successful in Ottawa as a
Yeah.
jazz drummer. So,
No, but I'm saying that everybody's doing it later on and like in their adult years, but I'm sure that that was their feeling at the beginning to do this, right? So like to be a drummer, right?
y-
So
yes, exactly. And now there's more and more role models of women. It's becoming more mainstream. So it does seem like the
it's
thing to do.
that's exactly it. So it's like it's someone needs to be a trend. They have to like your film's important because it shows it has to be there has to be trendsetters, right? So
Yes, yeah, definitely. I
yeah.
mean, we have the mentors. I mean, if I talk to someone, I'd say, "Can you name 3 or 5 famous female drummers?" I think they'll struggle a little more. They can
Huh.
name Neil Peart, they can name Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, Steve Gadd, but you might have to sit down and think a little bit more when you think about role models who are women.
Yeah. And then if you think about male drummers, there's a long list, right?
There's a
So
long list. And who's your favorite drummer? Well, it's gonna Buddy Rich. Exactly.
yeah. Yeah, no, there's something. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so you went to Dallas. A lot of the film is based in Dallas, I guess, right?
Yes, it is. Most of it is based in Dallas. And there's a few remote, some of the women who were in the first film who couldn't be there who sent in their performance clips to me and a few new ones as well. So that they were called the remote beat keepers who couldn't be in Dallas.
Is there like a WhatsApp group kind of drummers exchange happening?
Yes, Beatkeepers has a pretty large group on Facebook and social media, and there's also Drummer Girls United. When I think we're over 10 or 20,000 now, which was formed by Tammy Mitchell Woods, who was in the first film and who's done clinics for Beatkeepers. So
Mhm.
that's an online private Facebook group for female drummers only, where we get online, connect, share, talk about struggles, challenges, triumphs, and that's really kind of helps support this as well. We feed into one another.
That's amazing. Okay, so then let's talk about the film itself. So, were you planning? It's 43 minutes. Were you planning like? I think it seems like there's a little bit of a you wanted to document, but I'm assuming you didn't know what the story was until you got into the editing room.
That's right. It didn't really have a sense quite where, how far and how long and where it would go, the direction. So I met up online with a wonderful editor who's actually based in Argentina. So she's remote and we worked entirely remotely. She reviewed all the footage and she helped put together what she thought would be, a logical storyline to be interesting, and to be more performance based than the first movie. The first movie, I don't know if you've seen that yet, but that's a lot of dialogue, a lot of women talking about their triumphs, challenges, their perspectives on
Yeah,
drumming. Where this one, I wanted to be more of us actually connecting in person.
yeah. There is like there is a theme of connection, I guess, right? So,
Yeah.
did you want it to be a feature film?
Yes, I knew that the length would probably be shorter than the first one by the time I completed the movie, the filming, but it's kind of that in between length, medium length now, so it can get in for short, medium, and sometimes feature films in the
Yeah,
festivals, which is great.
it's I call it the gray area film where like it's like in between. So I'm always curious like if you want to make a shorter version of it or do you want to make like it's like you can kind of like because I'm sure you got lots of editing. You could there's like little finessing and kind of there's different versions you can make of this film.
Yes, with some behind the scenes footage, extra
Yeah.
performance clips, so longer and shorter. I think we could make a few different versions for different purposes.
So but there's like a montage that you have at the I think around like 10 minutes in, maybe like 9 minutes in of showing they're all kind of in the same seat and you kind of interview them kind of each person briefly and you're kind of showing where everybody is merging from, I guess, right?
Yes, yes. So my purpose in the interviews was, why are you here? What did you get out of it? Why did you take up drumming? And then any thoughts or advice you have for women or girls that want to take up drumming.
And what advice do you have for like say a girl's like 7, 8 years old and she wants to take up drumming?
7 or 8 to start with the rudiments, the fundamentals, and really practice, because I've been a teacher. I've been a drum teacher with young people. My husband teaches young people. And unfortunately, they don't always, I mean, when you're young, you're a kid, you want to play, but they don't commit necessarily to doing their studies at home so that they can see improvement and change. So that's my guide. Just, start small, but be dedicated to it. Put in 15, 20, 30 minutes a day.
30 minutes a day. That's like with any instrument, right? You want them to, like they got to put in at least a half hour a day.
Exactly. I mean, I took piano for years and I had to, and you were tested. So as I say, you have to show, you want to feel, you don't have to be, you know, improving rapidly, but you want to see slight changes every time you go in.
For kids, you need to have open-minded parents to
Yes.
basically to take up the drums. One, there's a space issue, but also it's really the noise, right? Like the take on the noise of practicing the drums.
Yeah, you just need a pad even to start, a pad and a stand and sticks. But some
Yeah.
parents don't even get that for the children. So you're sometimes, it must be hard. They can't really practice at home, maybe on their pillows, but
Yeah. Because I remember directing a music video, and we had to go to the it was like a young band, and we had to go to the drummer's parents' house, and their sons were also there. They were in the basement, and then I was on the main floor, and they were in the basement practicing the drums, and you can just the house was shaking,
oh,
right?
the house. Wow, yes.
And the parents weren't even blinking an eye. They were so used to the noise and so used to, like, they're watching television, and they were just, it was almost like kind of like, living next door to a highway.
Yes. You get used to it after a while.
Yeah, they're immune to the noise, right? So
Yeah, and I know it's not easy, and you'll have neighbors too that, I've had some that have complained. I have kids, so could you please stop the band practice around 9? So whether
yeah,
your kids are playing or you're playing, you have to be respectful, and
yeah.
it's not easy, especially if you're in a townhouse.
It's almost like I think you can make a short film about like the drumsticks. I
Just the
don't know.
drifts.
Because isn't there like a certain, like, you can't touch someone else's sticks, or you can't, is there like a kind of like an unwritten rule with the drumsticks?
Yes, there's kind of a code too, especially if you, let's say you're hosting a jam or a few bands are sharing the space, not to use each other's sticks, not to tune the drums or adjust things too much, unless of course you have explicit permission. But I've had it sometimes where some drummers, you come in and they've actually adjusted the seat and the snares up here and the cymbals are out there, and then you get on and they, oh no.
Yeah, because yeah, everything's there, everything's designed for you, I guess, right?
And I'm a left-handed drummer, so it
I'm
makes it a little
left-handed
okay.
too. Yeah,
Oh, are you? Okay. So
yeah.
yes, so I have to flip it back and forth if other drummers want to
Yeah.
play at a jam.
We're in a special club.
Yes, exactly.
So is there something, is it being left-handed? Is there anything that's unusual? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, for me, so the first year I played right-handed, I played open-handed as a, use because the snare and the hi-hat are on the other side. But a drum teacher said, Cindy, your other foot isn't going to be as strong as your dominant. So I switched it. So everything now is, you're going from basically right to left and left to right. So
Yeah.
your hi hat here is your snares there on the
I
right.
remember there's a drummer from Def Leppard. I'm showing my age, but he lost his arm, and he was a one-handed
Yes.
drummer,
Yes,
right?
I just saw, it was about 3 years ago. I went to see him here in Ottawa play. Pretty
Okay.
amazing. I forget his name, but yes, absolutely phenomenal that you can do that.
So how do you do that? Like, I'm trying to figure it out, but I guess he figured it out. Like, that is amazing.
Yes, and both feet going, so absolutely. And it's amazing what you can do. Yeah, and drumming is great. I mean, the big thing for drumming for me is the independence, because clarinet is like this, piano, but drum is the four limbs, and that's something that I'm still working on every single day, to have them working independently, because that just opens your playing opportunities so much more.
So I love your, like, the film's great because it shows like the community. Obviously, people love community, right? And there's just so much optimism and happiness with everybody. Like, and you said it was interesting that you didn't know these people, then you met them, and then you just immediately got along with them. It makes a lot of sense because your passions are the same, right?
Yes, and we are all keeping in touch. And in fact, some of the women live in the same cities, so they now go to each other's gigs, or they just go out together, coffee, drinks, talk drum, go to events. So that's wonderful. And I'm going to the UK with at least one, if not two, of the Beatkeepers in October to the UK Drum Show to showcase the film in Liverpool. So it's wonderful that we've formed these deep bonds, and I think they will endure.
So you said you worked with an editor on the film?
Yes,
Yeah.
her name's Adela. She's based in Argentina.
Oh, okay. That isn't that amazing now? Like you can she's based in Argentina. So you ever have you ever met her personally?
No, no, it's all been via Zoom and Upwork and chats and whatnot, but not in person.
So what is your process with her? You just like do you I'm curious about like because every documentary is different. Did you kind of like write a script about what you thought of it? How was the process when you got into the editing room?
Well, we had a Google Drive with all the raw footage
Sure.
created by the videographer, and I created a very rough video outline using iMovie. This is what I see. So I took all the footage together and just created something very basic to send to her. This is the process I want to follow. This is my idea of the storyline. And she built on that and added her own ideas and suggestions and then sent it back. And every time she would send me an MP4 back, I would go into iMovie and put comments in certain
Okay.
sections of what changes I'd like to see, additions, etc. And that worked really well.
And then you kind of just went back and forth with each other?
Yes, exactly. And the timestamps too. Here, make these edits and whatnot. And then I had some of the beat keepers involved too to review it and edit and from their own perspectives to give ideas and advice. And then a few friends, of course, to watch the rough cuts of it to give their perspectives on top of it as non-drummers.
Okay, so talk to me about the sound because obviously you're showing a lot of music and you grabbed did you just grab the sound from the camera?
Yes, though we did have a professional videographer do most of this, so she had a really good system. So
Okay.
she's the one who provided. She volunteered her time, Gia Randazzo, and I think without her involvement, it probably wouldn't be what it is. But then I did have someone based in Colombia do all the sound editing as well to work with Adela. So I brought
All
in
right, so
this.
you got Argentina and you got Colombia. So you have a thing for South America, I guess then.
Yes, I guess they're the ones who are the freelancers who seem to have, really good relatable experience and love the project. Camilo's a musician as well, so his name is Camilo Miranda. He did the sound editing.
So you just have to like clean. He just had to go in and clean up the what you grabbed from the shots.
Yes, and equalization and whatnot. So he did a really good job. He worked more, and he and Adele, of course, are Spanish speaking, so they work closely together to improve the sound and finalize the product.
And you want to make sure everything's in sync, I guess, right?
Yes, exactly. And that didn't, the few times that we weren't quite in sync, so we had to do some re-editing
Yeah,
of that, some of the sections, especially when we're performing near the end.
yeah. But you know only a small percentage is going to notice though, right?
Yeah, well, I know as musicians we notice a little more, exactly.
Like you see that in music videos sometimes where like they're out of sync, right? But
Yes.
nobody cares because they're getting the best shot, not the best sync, I guess, right?
Yeah, I was watching all the hands as the sound
Yeah,
you see go
exactly.
around.
Yeah. Well, you're giving tribute to drummers. You want to make sure that it's everything's in continuity, I guess, right?
Exactly, exactly, because I think they would notice it, and that's my primary audience. My niche audience will be drummers and musicians.
So you wanted to get, so you said that you showed everybody the film beforehand, like all the people who are, there's a lot of people in the film.
Yeah, so maybe about 3 or 4 saw the film before, from the film, The Beat Keepers, and then when it was completed, I premiered it online. We did a Zoom call, and we all watched it together. Many of them were, Chromecasting it to their TVs. They brought their friends and family. So that was about 30 people back in March. And from there, it went on to Selfie and the other sites. And now it looks like it's going to be picked up by some other streaming sites, so that's good news.
That's amazing. So you're just doing the festival circuit, getting it out there, and you're on your way, I guess.
Yes, I'm happily on the way and going to the UK, and I'm hoping the next step might be a European and UK version of the film, the next sequel.
Because it's played in obviously Toronto and then the United States, and then it's played in India, Greece,
Yes,
the UK, right?
exactly. Yes, getting around the world.
I like your Instagram page. There's a nice animation, beekeeper's animation photo or cart, you know what I mean? Like
Oh, yes, yes. I'm getting more comfortable with AI.
oh, that's
That's
AI. Gotcha. That's
that's a
really
big
good.
tool. Yes,
Really
absolutely.
nice. Okay, so tell me about so then you're gonna finish it off. Are you gonna make another version of the film, or I mean like another sequel, or are you moving on to another project?
Well, I hope to possibly make a sequel, and that's one of the reasons I'm going to Liverpool is to talk to a lot of
Great.
women in Europe who are going to come to the show and come to our booth and discuss it with us. So, because there is a lot of interest, if I look at the metrics, people in Ireland, France, Germany, and UK especially have been watching the film, the trailer, etc., and seem quite interested. So that may be the next step.
Well, I can't believe it. I wish you the best of the film. I really enjoyed watching it myself, and just like yeah, it's like it's but there's a universal message here. I know you kind of described it almost like a niche film, but it's just about it's about connection and unity, and it's never too late, right? It's never too late to take up an instrument, take up a hobby, whatever
Exactly.
whatever if because I always like sometimes you just get repressed as a child or you're kind of told not to do something and then you do it later on, but it's never too late.
It's never too late at any age to take up whatever your dream or your passion is to follow it. I am, so I took it up in my 40s and look where I am today.
Yeah, it's amazing. Before we leave you, I gotta ask you, we asked you in the blog interview what film you watched the most times in your life. Do you remember what you said?
I said Rocky,
Okay,
1976.
that would be my answer too. So we have it's the left-handedness, right?
I think
The
so.
left-handed, yeah.
And the underdog story and the
Underdog
love
story.
story and the
Yeah.
romance and yes, I like
That's
it.
interesting that you mentioned that. Do you remember when you first watched it?
As a child, so in the 70s, I watched the first time I went with my mom to the theater. I was living in Moncton, New Brunswick, and off we went. I was like, wow.
Oh, you went to the theater.
I
Okay.
went to theater to see it as a child. Yes. It's pretty
And
mind blowing.
was the hype already there when you went to see it? Like everybody was kind of talking about it?
Yes, yes. But I mean, I was in a small city, so it was huge hype, but I could tell it was something really special. It was something.
And then what made you watch it? Like I guess the invention of the V8 the VHS or the VCR kind of
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And just when, when you want a little bit of motivation or inspiration, I'll go back and I'll watch it over again and say, yeah, yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Because the
And because
first
then
film's darker than the rest of them, right? Like it's got has a dark edge to it. Loneliness.
loneliness, I think so. And it was really based on his life at the time too. It's kind of true in many ways, Stallone. So I mean, he was an underdog in real life, kind of working and tough, and this getting this movie made wasn't an easy feat for him. There's been a couple of documentaries on that, so
Yeah. Yeah, he talks about it in his there's a Netflix documentary, but it's a very legendary story, right? Where he basically wanted to be the star and they were like, no, and then they gave him more money like just to write the script and kind of move on. But he's like, no, I wanna act in it. I want to be the actor, right? So
yes, he pushed for that. And in the end, the fact that he doesn't actually win the fight, and that's I think there's a parallel between that and the drumming. You don't have to be the best, you don't have to be the greatest, you don't have to win awards, but the fact that you did it, you went the distance.
he went
For
to the
example, yeah, people at Beekeepers at the event for the first time got on stage and did a drum solo or played with Greg Bissonette, Ringo Starr's drummer, or someone else famous. These are huge things to accomplish.
exactly, but he got the girl though, right?
He
So
got the girl. That's true. That's
yeah,
good.
because really, if you can call it people will call it a sports film, but it's really a love story film for me.
It Yes, it's all that.
It's a romantic drama.
That's a good way of putting it, absolutely.
These
Timeless.
these two misfits kind of like find each other, I guess, right?
Yes, definitely.
And then because the one of the I remember even when I was a kid, I had no context of romance or anything like that, but I remember like he's doing this fight, and the first thing he says to her when she comes in the ring is like, "Where's your hat?" Because she lost her hat, and he's like, "Where's your hat?" It's like,
I
okay, this
know.
guy's into her, right? So he just went he went 15 rounds with the heavyweight champion, and he's like notices all the little things with his girlfriend, right? So
Yeah, it came right down to the relationship, absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, I can't wait to see what you do next. I guess you're going to do the documentary for the next one, but I definitely something here. I love the characters in the film, and they're just very, like I said, they're all inspirational. And you got some nice websites and the social media, so you're on your way.
Thank you very much, Matthew. I really appreciate it and all your support.
Thank you. All right, let's talk again when the next film is made.
All right, take care.